Hi, my name's Tomi Arayomi,
And I am Tobi Arayomi.
and this is a very special quarantine on the table.
We all have a life.
No wed, no dead. No lady, no duty, female, no female, no more.
So guys, we're talking about Christians in politics today and whether or not Christians should be involved. And actually what this huge sweeping political divide is going on in America and indeed around the world right now. We want to give it some meat, some words, some language. And we're hoping that you guys will be engaged in this process and comment below. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well. Tobi, just walk us through this thing right now. What is going on with Christians who, and I know this is a sweeping generalization, but who just don't seem to be involved in the political process beyond getting out there to vote, as many of the pastors in America just hinted to the people, just get out there and vote, right?
Yeah.
What is that about? Talk to us.
Well, let's just say we are in an interesting political environment.
Very.
Never, I don't know if ever in the history of the world, there's been more interest on a global level in politics now than ever. And whether you like him or not, that has to be attributed to the Trump effect, literally. I mean, whoever used to watch White House press briefings, who used to watch those? No one watched them, please. But now the whole world is fixated. What's he gonna say next? What's he gonna do next? Trump mania is a global phenomenon and sensation. This is literally the most famous human being on the planet, hands down. And so and sorry, we are home. So
I know,
this is the home
it's
edition, so you will
quarantine
get
edition.
children's
Go for it.
and
Keep
also-
going.
But this is literally the time we're in right now. More than ever, people have been politically activated. The issue is knowledge hasn't been activated with it. There's been no
Wow.
time to catch up on knowledge, but there has been plenty of time to feed on emotion.
Right.
And I think the media has done a phenomenal job of plugging to people's emotions, doing a brain bypass, and making sure that people just feel in the here and now with no historical reference to what's going on or what has gone on before as to where we are now. I even had someone in my house just the other day say, what's your views right now? I don't care. Trump is bad. He's a terrible person. And that's it. I've told all my American friends, vote Biden. I said, why? He's a racist, homophobe, sexist, bigot, blah, blah, blah. You know the usual.
Yeah.
So what's his policies? I don't know. I don't care. What's Biden's policies? I don't know. I don't care. What's the history of the Democratic Party? I'm not sure. Why should I care? Was what I heard in the room.
Right. I think we're in a season now where everybody wants justice. You know, BLM, Black Lives Matter wants justice. Antifa wants justice. SARS in Nigeria wants justice. The world wants justice, and they're looking to blame the government for not appropriately providing that justice. And so there's this kind of predatorial nature that goes on with specific politicians of a specific opinion or political worldview, that they will kind of predatorially exploit the vulnerabilities of the black community or the poor community, sometimes even conflating poor with black. I mean, we remember that Biden said this. Take a look at this.
I want to move on to Iowa, if I can, because Joe Biden gave what was considered a blistering speech about President Trump. It was a moment that some said was one of the strongest of his campaign to date. He's been out there on the stump doing retail politics. It is a version of Joe Biden that some people think is one of the better versions of him, but he's also the version of Joe Biden that says things that are controversial inadvertently, to be sure. And Tolu, I want to play you something he said when he was speaking to a group of what we understand was Hispanic and Asian voters in Iowa yesterday. So let's listen to this.
We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids. No, I really mean it, but think how we think about it.
poor kids are just as talented, Tolu, as white kids.
Right, poor people just as smart and talented as white people, and then he had to save face. But nobody remembers that, of course. That's gone. Nobody cares about that because, again, remember, Trump is bad man, and he said a lot worse, and that becomes the smoke screen through which every argument is ended. But okay, we only have a limited amount of time, and we put this on the table as a patient, and we often try to dissect and examine what's really going on in the political landscape. So past the emotions, right? You've said something very clever. Broken clock is right at least twice a day, I guess. But you said something really impressive and amazing and clever, right? So let's get
move on.
okay. Let's get rid of the emotion. Let's get rid of the emotion and let's put some educate. See, you're already offended. See, that's the problem we have in our communities today. Is you just proved your point. Somebody triggers
you. A broken clock is right
twice
at
a
least
day.
Twice a day, and you're saying
already,
broken clock is right.
No, but already you're emotionally triggered, and you can't hear anything else I have to say. I've just now proven your point.
Oh no, I can hear you. You're just lucky I'm not sitting next to you. That's all.
See, you're offended already. So that means, what does offense do? It deafens people. It makes people ignore things that are right in front of them. And I think, when you look at the word offense in the Greek, not trying to have a Bible study, it's the word scandalon. I think the scandals that have been pushed out by both sides of the media, the minutiae of scandal.
But bro, this is what people don't get. There are two dichotomies, left and right. Most people
explain
don't even know that
that's
these
what
dichotomies
that's what I'm
exist.
trying to say.
If I can explain it
to
with
us
my understanding.
Go
On
for
the
it.
left side of the spectrum, you have the politics of victimhood. We are the victims. We have not. We were black mistreated badly, women mistreated badly, homosexual mistreated badly, transgender mistreated badly. Well, I'm not even kidding. We're having the rise of the pedophiles saying now that they're being mistreated badly, and therefore they require their sense of justice. And let me tell you why the left and the right don't meet too well. Because on the left side, and I'm not talking about the far fringes of the left. On the right side, I'm talking in sweeping generalizations here. We see on the left a politics of victimhood, or a politics of justice. We see on the right a politics of righteousness. And so the right just want things done right. Like, come on, like, this is common sense. This is the right thing to do. But the left want things done emotionally and with heart. And I remember Alexander Cortez in New York, the senator for New
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Please say her name properly.
She said that the facts don't matter. All that matters is how people feel. This is the politics that dominates the left. It's a politics of feeling.
Okay, but you have
the majority of people why they voted Biden over Trump, they will not be able to give you hard facts. What are his policies? No idea. What's his belief system? Don't care. The vote for Biden was a vote against Trump. It was Trump versus Trump. This wasn't Trump versus Biden. This was just a vote versus Trump. And there was a statement Biden made. Now we all get to return to normal. I hated that statement because when I heard that statement, what it meant to me was now you all go back to being agreeable, go back to being passive, go back to not caring about how we control your lives. Right. And bro, the danger that's happening right now is the marriage between government and big tech to so manipulate.
Okay, we're going to come to that because of time. You're saying a lot very quickly, and we're going to come to all of that. But you said something that, again, once you start getting into the game of offense and scandal, nobody hears anything you say past that. So I can imagine somebody on the left listening to what you've just said, and you've just called us all victims. How dare you? No, I get what you're saying. Let's get to the crux, first of all. what does it mean to be left wing? What does it mean to be right wing? Because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know they're left wing. A lot of people, I'm not going to be a monolith. I'm unique. I'm an individual. I think for myself. I'm a free spirit. Nobody really thinks for themselves. Everybody just doesn't know that they're being influenced by something. They may not have a terminology for what's influencing them, but everybody's being influenced. So talk to us about that real quick.
Well, the left seem to be more in love with big government. The right seem to be more in love with limited government and more freedom. And this again comes from the predominant psychology that underpins left versus right. It underpins, we see it even in our own faith in Christianity, the belief, like I saw a sign, and I was mentioning this earlier, and the sign said, Jesus 2020. And underneath, Christians were like, only God can save us. And I thought, what are you talking about? The guy died and rose to life, and he's gone. And he said, I give you authority over things. But see, when you see most Christians today, it's like God is in control and God will come in and save the day. Our eschatology is so off kilter, so we don't get involved in these things beyond casting a vote. And so on the left, it's like, well, it's big government. That's why left-wing agendas go more for socialist ideologies, communist ideologies. They'll go more for nationalization of the rail or medical care or whatever. And what they don't realize is that they are giving away their controls, because some people are afraid. And one of the biggest fears of most people is responsibility. Let's give a biblical paradigm to this. Children of Israel leave Egypt. No more social care. But listen, it was slavery. It was slavery. Right. But look what they kept saying. At least in Egypt, there was leeks and onions, and there was welfare, and there was hand-me-downs, and there was this government that took care of me and watched over me. This is on I would say on the right, that, and not the far fringes and the insane. I'm talking about on the right, there is a sense of personal autonomy, the right to determine, capitalism. Look in our country, bro. Everything that is nationalized is rubbish.
Right.
Look at our railway system. How much money are we giving every year? And how many times does the price have to go up? And it's still rubbish.
Look at our health service, yeah.
Look at all of it. But see, the power of capitalism and business is, if I have a car company and suddenly you make automated cars, guess what it forces me to do? It either forces me out, or it makes me innovate. It makes me think higher. It makes me create. So we compete. And now in the competition, things are becoming more excellent. In a communist government-owned system, there is no innovation. How do we make it better?
There is no motivation for innovation, because you're being paid the same to the same stuff. So thank you for highlighting the left and the right. So the left is collective, the right is individualistic. The left is secular, the right is more kind of Christian concern, conservative values. The left is more kind of I don't want to say this word, but predatorial towards those who are of a poor, vulnerable, or kind of exploitable quality, like skin color, identity politics, sexual identity. All of those things are kind of the exploited,
obesity, disabled, LBG,
exactly.
Anything that they can find. Yeah.
Anything they can find to kind of go, oh, that's fat shaming. Oh, that's this shaming. Oh, that's race this. That's race baiting. That's a dog whistle to this. So they kind of have these kind of inflammatory, kind of exploitable, viable things that they can utilize to garner the emotions of people. And then you have the right, which is different. And then you say these two words, capitalism versus communism. Now, capitalism can be very dirty. When, people are like, but what about capitalism? Capitalism has its dirt when it's not free markets. When the idea of capitalism is based on cronyism, or the idea that people at the top could make special deals, which is what people blamed Trump for, that he was trying to enrich his friends on Wall Street and do all these things to kind of fixed price for the rich and lower taxes for the rich and all that stuff. But that's not really the greed of capitalism. The greatest greed of capitalism is when markets are no longer free because they're fixed by government policies. That means that, like the European Union, there are 200 regulations for the toothbrush. Colgate can make those regulations up by sending lobbyist interests in, and then it becomes too expensive for the medium small business making a better toothbrush to compete because they have to comply with all these regulations that have been set.
Correct.
And so what actually the Trump effect was, that most people don't know this, was that he deregulated all of these destructive regulations that were shutting down the ingenuity of a whole people group. He kind of lifted the veil off of that and created this structure that is actually organic. When society is left to itself, it is capitalistic. When wildlife is left to itself, it is capitalistic. The goal is
But also you'll find when societies are left to themselves, they are also socialistic. Actually, social work did not begin with government. It began with people. Hospital and care began with people. The society has a way of naturally organizing itself to take care of its own community.
Right.
But the issue is when the government owns it, regulates it,
And mandates it.
And mandates it, these things soon start to fall apart very quickly because they don't grow naturally with the nature of society. They kind of get clunky and heavily bogged down. They're not nimble or
and not
swift,
just clunky,
and
not
break
just
down.
clunky. You said something really good about the exploitation of the victim. You look at how these laws get in. Nobody in their right mind, nobody in their right mind would vote for the regulation of speech. You sat down and you say, let's vote for the regulation of speech. Everybody would be like, really? Who's going to be the arbiter of hate speech? If somebody says the N-word in a song, is that hate speech? If somebody raps about it and then a kid is listening to it and they repeat it, is that hate speech or not hate speech? That line is very muddied because you have to know the intention of the words that are being spoken at the same time. But then you find a victim group to which hate speech means something on an emotional level to them because they have been, like the black community, there has been historic and even present examples of genuine racism. And so all of a sudden you symbiotically attach your need for power as a government to their need for justice for the use of inflammatory terms that are incendiary to a community group. And so all of a sudden, once you attach those, people go, that's a really good idea. We don't want people going around saying the N-word to us. We don't want people going around cussing us out and saying stuff. But then that hate speech gets expanded because the goal of government is to be involved in every area of your life.
We just heard the other day that Sturgeon has made it illegal to spank your children.
Yes, she has. She's outlawed. She has outlawed the spanking of children, and millions of people all over the world are going to go, that's great, that's amazing. Yeah. I'm so glad. But no government should ever have the power to regulate how you raise your child. No one should ever give government that much power because it is an ever slippery slope test in compliance. And before you know it, your children are being told right now, whether they know it or not, parents are being told you are not the owners of your children. Your children are owned by the state. And bro, I had the same problem when people started talking about, the issue of too little blood to go around in the nation because people aren't volunteering their blood enough, or their donations of their hearts or their liver when they die. So they started this thing in the law where they reversed it. Unless you signed up to opt out, you immediately opted in the moment you were born to give your heart and your lungs and your liver to somebody else because you didn't sign something that says, so that means whether you know it or not, your body is owned by the state. Before your body is passed off, this is not conspiracy, before your body is passed off to be buried by your parents, the state decides which part of your organs it wants to parcel to somebody else. That is absolutely catastrophic, and people can't see the slippery slope, because what emotions does is it gets us temporarily invested in a long-term outcome that none of us were immediately foreseeing, unless we're prophetic or good at forecasting the outcome, that this is just a terrible idea.
Yeah. And what we don't know is we're being slowly cooked. You know, the whole thing of the frog, if you put a frog in hot water, it will jump out. But if you put it in cold water and slowly boil it, the frog doesn't even know it's dying. It's the same thing that's happening in society today. Slowly, our freedoms are being eradicated. And the cult becomes worse. And I call the culture a cult. The left wing are an entire religious cult.
Right.
Let's just call it what it is. They are... here on the right, conservative values, we believe we were created in the image of God. On the left, they're about to create a God in their own image. They are about to make themselves essentially God. And the way they're doing it is a slow eradication of freedoms. It's a moving slowly. Look at this. Biden is not the president. Even Siri knew that. There are videos in America of people saying, "How is the president?" And the phone says, "Kamala is 40 whatever years old." It doesn't even say Biden. He is a Trojan horse. The clips about him online, I don't want to be mean, but the guy is not all there. He should not be even running. And so you got this guy who's a Trojan horse for Kamala, who's coming in. And this woman is a staunch socialist. And she's not as far as Omar and Cortez and all those, but let me tell you, she's on the way. And the with us here in the UK, we're like, well, how does that affect us? Whatever happens in America sets the temperature for the world.
Because we're not just talking about the president of the United States of the world, we're talking about the leader of the free world. And that includes the British, it includes the French, it includes everybody who believes in democracy, basically, is part of that free world equation, that free world bracket. Talk to us about communism, because most people don't know that there is nowhere in the world where communism exists, right? Even in Xi Jinping's Chinese Communist Party, because according to Marxism, and most people don't know that this is where the world's going. We're not in a fight of Trump versus Biden, we're in a fight of communism versus capitalism.
But it's worse. It's worse than communism versus capitalism. I'm telling you, this will be the communism that they will swear will work. Communism has killed more people on the planet. People always go religion. No, communism has killed more people on the planet than Christianity, than Islam put together. Right. This is a belief that was really the founding father, or one of them, was Marx. And you read his book. I mean, this guy was hands down fact. This is not a theory. He was a Satanist. And this guy creates this theory, this belief that we all have these things in common. We all have these values in common, that all people are equal. And the truth is in society, people aren't equal. We should have equal opportunities, but the outcomes are should be determined by a complete meritocracy in its processing. And if we don't understand that, this is why I think this is the communism they're going to swear will work. And let me tell you how it's going to happen.
But let me just explain very quickly. Let's just explain quickly what socialism and communism, because we're glossing over terms. I know we're running out of time, and I got literally about 10 more minutes. But let's just talk about this quickly, and then maybe we'll have to do a part 2 of this and really wrap this up. Socialism, first of all, is the idea of basically the public ownership of goods basically at the state level. That means everything becomes a public service. There's no such thing anymore as private ownership. Inevitably, the goal is that everybody steps down from private ownership of company, land, territory, and the land
they step down from. They're still in socialism. Elements of capitalism.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
The state will take over what they call major services.
Right. But perfect socialism only exists when there is no more private ownership, where everybody gets
That's
equal
more
pay.
communism.
No, wait, let me get to communism, where everybody kind of gets equal pay, everybody kind of gets equal service, access to the public services. Healthcare is what they say is a human right of everybody. All this becomes a human right, food, blah, 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 all of this. And it's all provided at the state level. Now, communism, the difference, socialism is meant to lead to communism. Communism says those at the top who kind of manage it, who are still kind of capitalist in their way, because you have to be capitalist to manage it, eventually say, you know what, we're going to give back all of the power and all of the wealth we've made, and we're going to join the communal system as well, and therefore totally eradicate all of our wealth to do so. Communism has never existed anywhere in the world, even in the Chinese Communist Party, even with Stalin, even with, name a leader, nobody has ever been communist. The richest man in the
100%.
No, the richest man in the world today should arguably be Xi Jinping of China. Xi Jinping of China is not a communist. Because to be a communist, he has to give all of his wealth away. At the end of it, he has to join the very communal structure that he has built, and everybody lives in this equal start,
But
equal
before
finish
he
society.
does that, he needs to be the arbiter of power. Communism requires a couple of people to hold the power
Right.
on behalf of the useful idiots.
Well,
That's the
socialism
truth about
does.
communism.
Socialism does. Communism, if it's perfect, has to release that. Socialism says,
But that's
hey,
the
dum-dums.
end game of communism.
Exactly.
The end game is to release that power.
Right.
But on its way, the
goal you have to have,
intelligentsia has to hold
you
it
have
for a
to,
period of time.
you have to give up your right, your freedom of speech. You have to give up your freedom of thought. You have to give up your freedom of expression, and then you have to give up your money through the form of taxes, exorbitant taxes. Now
Let me
imagine.
tell you how it's going to be popular.
Go
Let
on.
me tell you how it's going to work now.
Popularize
It's going
it.
to be a different form of communism, and we should be shook because this time it's going to marry big tech.
Wow.
Never have we seen the marriage of communism and big tech like I believe we're about to see it.
Tech
No,
and
you have not
state.
seen more fact-checking going on. And some of this fact-checking is the most unfactual fact-checking. But we are already on our way to that place in society where somebody else determines our way we think. Think about that. A newspaper article comes out from the New York Post.
Announcing that we found out that China and Biden have been in
No,
bed.
not China, not China.
Oh, is this a new one?
Fact checked. Ukraine
What are we
and
talking?
Biden. He
Yeah,
was on the,
no, it was also China and Biden. It was Ukraine first, then it's China and Biden, showing the direct link between the CCP and Joe Biden. And
the
that,
major news was that his son was on the board of a company talking about lining the pockets of the big guy. Do you know why we should be afraid? Because the moment that came out on Twitter as true,
and factual
shut
as
it
it
down.
was, Twitter shut it down and then shut down anybody who reshared it, including Haley McEnany. The White House press secretary's account got suspended.
we are being prepared
New York
for communism.
Post got shut down totally. The fourth largest newspaper in the United States of America got shut
Biden
down.
has hired
The
already,
I know.
even though
I
he's not
know.
officially yet
He's
in power.
hired technocrats.
He's hired tech. Obama hired Federal Reserve people. Trump hired
Business people.
crypto enthusiasts, all kinds of people, capitalists. This guy, Biden,
Is hiring.
understands that communism is going to be digital. It's going to be hugely technical. I was in the supermarket the other day. My mask was under my nose. A woman said, "Put your mask on."
Really?
Oh man, it's a cult. We are we don't realize it. You go to Starbucks, dude, this is so dumb. You go to Starbucks, you can't even order a drink without a mask on, but everybody's sitting down around you with their masks off.
Because they can
Does it
drink.
make any sense?
Well, so they can drink it, right? That's the idea.
Right, but what's the point?
It's
If
a-
I'm
it's a-
going to
it's
walk
a-
up to you, you're behind some massive glass screen, and then I say, I want this coffee for this much. The moment I'm holding the coffee, by the way, I can remove my mask, even if I'm standing in front of you. Does it make sense? Or we're all in the supermarket. Everyone's touching items, picking up, looking, touching items, and picking up and put it down. We're all touching the same item. Then we go home, take off our mask with our hands. Does it not strike us as unusual that at one point we were told these things are ineffective, they're not even medical grade, then all of a sudden the fact checkers come in and go, no, everything's medical grade, these things are necessary and we have to use it. The medical doctors come out telling us this works against the virus, this doesn't work, and they are silenced by technocrats. Medical doctors no less than big tech companies. Think about where we are today. Like, it's insane. That's why I believe that the modern day, what was it? If you went to a house under Hitler's regime, if you didn't have a picture of Hitler on your wall or a swastika hanging over your balcony, you were canceled. You were dead, but you were canceled. Today we have a form of that. It's called political correctness. And the more correct you are, the more society accepts you. So if I want to be popular on Instagram, all I need to say is, guys, vote Labour. I voted Biden.
And listen, when we come back, I mean, let's talk about the issue between the church and why there's so many of the church on the left. Why is the church on the left? Because, dear God, what happened? I saw, and I'm not going to say who this was, I saw a famous leader in the African American community come out and say, finally, we got our shot. And they show these historic, a lot of people have been sharing these historic pictures of white presidents. Finally, we got our person in the White House and they're a black person, right? And then those same people are like, but don't be political. So be cosmetic, but don't be political. Be aesthetic, just don't be political. Be superficial, just don't be political. Vote based on who looks like you, not based on what policies that are going to affect the kingdom of God and its advancement in the earth. God doesn't choose as man chooses, but all of a sudden, I think they won the church over to this side on the left through this kind of aesthetic, cosmetic, give us our person, give us our color. We don't care what policies they bring in. We just want somebody like us to represent us. Yeah. And that was the biggest, shame and travesty upon America before. And I think it's going to lead to, unless something dramatic changes, I think it's going to lead to exactly what you're talking about. The globalization of the world through foreign policies that shut down manufacturing, the exaltation of big tech, credit, and all of these companies above manufacturing. The replacement of manufacturing.
Else as well that might be worse. The open door for the tyranny of nations who do not align with globalist ideologies. By that I mean, I believe in all of this softening of nations. That's what globalization, in my opinion, is doing. It is softening and disempowering nations of their individualistic power.
Right.
And yet you've got nations that will become an existential, why did I bother saying that word?
Existential threat.
Existential threat to us who do not have the global agenda. It
like
sounds
China.
nice.
Like
it sounds utopian. But listen, there will be nations that do not believe and don't care about it, who will rise to power very fast. And they'll have the ability, if we're not careful, because they'll have a national identity, whether right or wrong, to come against something that has no identity.
Right. There is so much to talk about, guys, but we have run out of time. Please let us know what you think in the comments box below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this new channel on the table. We have started from scratch. We're yet to grow the subscribers. Help us reach 2K, 3K today would be nice. Just hit the subscribe button. We will be back for a longer part 2 coming soon. We just want to serve you with a taster. We'll be right back with another part 2. But from me, Tomi Arayomi.
For me, Tobi Arayomi.
You've been watching On the Table. Take care.
We all have a life.
No web, no dead. No ladies, no dudes, female, no female.